B, me name's Jake, 27, junior manufacturing engineer at a heavy equipment parts plant. Not some fancy tech job, but it pays decent, and it's real work. We machine high-precision parts for industrial equipment, talking huge gear rings for hydro turbines, piston rods thicker than your arm. Company's been around since the 70s. Main facility looks like a maze of old brick halls and metal warehouses. Whole place smells like burnt steel, coolant, and that electric welding stink constant background noise of CNC mills whining, presses slamming, forklifts beeping. Place feels alive, in a loud mechanical way. My job is basically translator between engineers upstairs and the guys actually running the machines. Spend most of my shift walking the floor, checking prints, fixing programs, answering questions. Floor crew is mostly older guys. Lots of them been here longer than I've been alive. They know every machine by sound, alone, not big talkers. Conversations usually about football, fishing, busted transmissions, or cutting speeds for some weird alloy. My boss on the floor is Rick, shop foreman, started here right after high school. Probably late 50s now, built like he could still throw engine blocks for fun. Never yells, never rushes, but when he says something, everyone listens. Not because he's scary, because he actually knows what he's doing. Guy can hear a spindle noise once and tell you exactly which bearing is going bad. First month I worked there, I got stuck on a new part. Drawing tolerances, stupid tight, machining order, made 0 sense. Sat there almost 2 hours trying to figure out why it wouldn't work. Rick walks past, looks at the print for maybe 5 seconds, doesn't say anything. Just grabs my pencil, taps one dimension twice, then points at the toolpath sheet. I look again, and suddenly it clicks. Designer put the operations in the wrong order. Whole thing would have warped after the first cut. Rick nods once, hands the pencil back, keeps walking. That's how he is, minimum words. Maximum accuracy, most days were predictable, clock in, deal with machines, solve problems, go home, tired. Then we got hit with a huge order, tight deadline, big money job. Everyone already stressed trying to keep production moving. That's when the email showed up from corporate HR lady named Melissa. Sent it only knew her from orientation day. Always looked like she hadn't slept in a week, subject line in all caps. Mandatory workshop. Oristic. Oh, building a proactive and inclusive workplace. Soon as I read that, knew the day was ruined. We had one of these years ago. 3 hours of some consultant in a shiny suit talking about synergy and communication. Nobody learned anything. This one looked worse. Email full of corporate buzzword soup stuff about examining unconscious bias, creating safe dialogue spaces, collaborative growth. Culture said. All engineering staff and supervisors had to attend scheduled Wednesday afternoon. Right in the middle of a production run meant half the shop would have to shut down. You could hear people groaning in the office as they read it. I walked out to the floor to talk to Rick about moving a calibration test. He was standing at his desk staring at his monitor. Email open on the screen, face completely blank. He looks at me, then back at the screen says, real calm. Wednesday's gonna be a long one. That was it. Next couple days, everybody was a little on edge. No one wanted to waste half a shift sitting in some HR meeting. We had real deadlines, real orders, real customers waiting. Nobody on that floor cared where you came from, or what you believed, if you could run your machine right and your parts passed inspection. You were good, you could be from another planet for all. Anyone cared, but mandatory means mandatory. Wednesday finally comes, 12:45 p.m. machines. Start powering down one by one, noise fades out until the shop feels weirdly quiet, like the place itself knows something stupid is about to happen. About a dozen of us leave the floor together, walk across the yard toward the admin building. Nobody talking much, just boots on concrete, and everyone already annoyed before the thing even starts. Walking from the shop to the office always felt wrong. 1 minute you're on concrete floors with cranes overhead. Next minute you're in carpeted hallways with drop ceilings and fake plants. All of us still in work clothes, steel toe boots, oil stains, sleeves rolled up, felt like we tracked half the factory in with us. Looked like a bunch of mechanics invading a dentist office. HR told us to go to the main conference room, big polished table, stiff chairs, giant TV on the wall. Room smelled like coffee and printer toner instead of coolant and steel. Couple people from accounting already sitting there, They looked just as happy as we were. Everyone shuffled in, slow shop guys took one side without saying anything, office people took the other side, big empty space down the middle like an invisible line. Rick sat at the far end, arms folded. Staring at the blank screen, Melissa from HR kept pacing around, handing out bottled water, smiling way too hard. The kind of smile people use when they know this is going to go bad. Exactly 1 o'clock. Door opens, trainer, walks in. We'll call her Lauren, late 30s, maybe wearing this expensive business suit that looked way too fancy for our place. Carrying a leather bag, like she was about to argue a case in court. She didn't smile, just looked around the room, slow eyes stopped on the shop. Guys, for a second, looked like she already decided what she thought of us. Melissa. Does the intro says, Lauren is a specialist in organizational culture, transformation, or something like that. I stopped listening halfway through the title. Lauren doesn't even react, walks straight to the front, plugs in her laptop. Screen lights up, title slide comes on, deconstructing privilege, building equity. In the workplace, knew right then, we were in for it. She starts talking immediately, loud voice, sharp, like a college professor that assumes nobody in the room understands anything. First, 20 minutes was just word after word. Nobody here uses power structures, systemic hierarchy, intersectional dynamics, patriarchal conditioning. I look around the table, older machinists just staring like they're watching a movie in another language. Couple engineers trying to follow along, but clearly lost. Rick hasn't moved at all, just sitting there like a statue. Lauren keeps going, like the silence means she's winning, like we're all too dumb to respond. Then she switches slides, big title, toxic, masculinity in industrial work, environments. Now people start shifting in their seats, slide, shows, a list, stoicism, competitiveness, self-reliance, emotional restraint, problem-solving mindset. She says these aren't strengths, says these are harmful behavioral patterns created by male-dominated systems, says valuing these traits causes emotional damage and unsafe environments. Couple guys glance at each other. Those are literally the traits you need to do this job. Without getting hurt, you don't panic when a 10-ton press jams. You don't cry when a machine goes down at 2 a.m., you figure it out. You stay calm, you fix it. She keeps talking, like all of that is a character flaw, says the workplace reinforces aggression and emotional suppression. Then she starts giving examples. None of them have anything to do with our job, talks about mansplaining in college classes, talks about men interrupting women in marketing meetings, talks about manspreading on public transit. I look around the room. Half these guys never went to college. Their commute is a pickup truck, not a subway. Closest thing we got to marketing is a catalog on the break room table. It felt like she was teaching a class for a completely different planet. She never asked what we actually do. Here never asked how the shop works. Never asked a single question, just kept talking. Not a workshop, more like a lecture. Where were the problems she came to fix? Then she says she wants to share a real story. Says a friend of hers felt violated because a male coworker complimented her presentation at work. And that's when I could feel the whole room getting tense without anyone saying a word. She explains that the compliment wasn't actually a compliment. Says it was a power move, says the guy was asserting authority by judging her work. Whole room goes quiet in that painful way. You could almost hear everyone thinking the same thing. What the hell is she talking about? Her world sounded like everything had hidden meanings, every word a trap, every action secretly hostile. Our world was numbers and metal and pressure gauges. If a part is off by 0.5 millimeter, it fails no debate, no interpretation. Just wrong, the gap between those two worlds felt huge. She takes a sip of water and looks around like she's waiting for a fight. Says she can feel defensiveness in the room, little smirk on her face. Says that reaction is normal. When privileged groups get confronted, nobody had even said anything. She was arguing with silence like she needed us to be the bad guys. So the speech made sense. I glance at Rick. He hasn't moved the whole time, just watching her. Not even annoyed, looking more like he's studying something weird. He found in the garage presentation keeps going. 1 hour, turns into almost 2 slides with charts, graphs about bias in technical fields, stats about women in engineering. None of it had anything to do with our shop. She never mentioned the company paying for women to go to trade school. Never mentioned that 2 of our best welders were women. Didn't matter, didn't fit the story. She came to tell next slide quotes from books nobody here ever read. talk about social structures and gender lenses. Then she starts saying everyday objects are designed with bias. At one point, she says air conditioning is sexist because women get colder in offices. That's when Tom from the forge lets out a short laugh. Not even loud, just one quick snort. He tried to hide as a cough too late. Her head snaps toward him, like a security camera. Eyes locked, asks if he wants to share. What's so funny? Room goes, dead silent. Tom works around machines louder than jet engines, but right then, he looks like a kid in school. Shakes his head, mumbles that he just coughed. She keeps staring at him for way too long, like she's making a point, then finally turns back to the screen. Air in the room feels colder after that. She looked like she enjoyed that moment, like she liked being able to put people on the spot. Then she switches topic again, says now, we need to talk about emotional labor. Says women spend their lives managing men's feelings. Says men rely on women to control their emotions. Calls men emotional vampires, actually. Used those words, looks around the table while she says it, one face at a time, like she's talking directly to each of us. Her eyes pass. Rick, he still looks carved out of concrete, passes me. I just stare at the table, passes guys who raised kids, guys who worked night shifts for decades, guys who pulled coworkers out of accidents on the floor, and she's calling all of them emotionally helpless. The disrespect was so strong, it didn't even feel real. Melissa from HR looks like she wants to disappear. Half hiding behind her notebook, writing stuff down nonstop, just so she doesn't have to look up. She invited this woman here, and now she has no way to stop it after almost 2 hours. The slides finally end, you can feel relief spreading around the room. People already thinking about getting back to the machines, thinking about the work piling up. Then the trainer smiles, not a friendly smile, the kind you see right before someone gives you more bad news, says that was only the theory. Part says, now we do the practical exercise. Whole room tenses again. You could feel the dread hit all at once. She starts pacing in front of the table, like she's about to give orders. Says, progress requires accountability. Says, understanding the system isn't enough. Says we need to admit our part in it. Says we need to confront our own behavior. She stops in the middle of the room, looks around slow like she's picking who to go after. First she says, we're going to do an exercise, calls it restorative accountability or something like that. Says, apologies are powerful. Says admitting harm is the first step to healing. Then she looks straight at the men at the table. All of us says, history gave us advantages whether we realize it or not. Says privilege creates a debt that has to be acknowledged. Right there, my gut tells me this is going somewhere bad. Then she explains the exercise, says every man in the room will stand up one at a time, pause, you could feel the tension spike before she even finished. Says we will turn to the women in the room and give a sincere apology. My stomach drop, says, we need to apologize for benefits we didn't earn. Apologize for the space we take up. Apologize for systems that favor us. Apologize for existing inside those systems. Room goes completely silent, like the air got sucked out. This wasn't training anymore. This was public humiliation. She wanted confessions for things nobody here did. I look over at the accounting ladies. They look just as uncomfortable as we do. One of them won't even look up from the table. They didn't ask for this. They just showed up because the email said mandatory. They were props now. Trainer scans the room slow, almost smiling, like she thinks she already won, like she expects everyone to just go along because HR said. So like she thinks nobody here has the guts to say no. Her eyes stop at the end of the table, on Rick, still sitting there, arms crossed, hasn't moved in 2 hours. She says, let's start with you. Voice all fake friendly, says his name, like she's talking to a child. Says, why don't you set an example for the rest? Every head in the room turns. You could hear the computer fan in the corner, hear Melissa's pen scratching like crazy trainer, standing there, waiting, looking proud of herself. She thought she picked the easiest target, saw a guy in a work shirt, and assumed he was simple. Big mistake. Rick doesn't even look at her. Right away, he turns his head. Slow looks at the women, from accounting nods once to the older lady who's been here forever, like actual respect. Then he looks back at the trainer, face completely calm. No anger, no nerves, just still. Few seconds pass. Felt way longer. Then he says one word. No, not loud, not angry, just final. Like closing a door. Trainer blinks, smile, twitches. She wasn't ready for that. Says maybe he didn't understand the exercise, starts explaining. Again, he cuts her off, says, I understand, says I'm not doing it. Same calm voice, but the whole room feels different now, like the balance just flipped. Trainer's face starts turning red. You can see. The professional act cracking. She realizes she can't push him, so she looks for someone easier. Eyes move down the table. Stop on me. Younger junior engineer, lowest rank in the room, perfect target. She forces a smile, says, let's try someone else, says my name, says, I look thoughtful, says, I can show the others how real self-reflection works. Every single person turns to look at me. Mouth goes dry, brain starts racing. All the office rules start playing in my head. Don't argue, don't cause trouble. HR is watching, just say the words and get it over with. And for a second, I almost stand up. It would have been easy to just stand up, say some fake apology, sit back down, and wait for it to end. That's what the office part of my brain kept telling me. Just play along, don't make trouble. Then I looked at Rick. Still sitting there, the same way, arms crossed, face, calm, not even looking at me, not telling me what to do. Just there, solid like a wall that doesn't move, no matter what hits it. And I started thinking about, my granddad worked 30 years in a foundry, hands always covered in burns and cuts, never complained, once thought about my dad fixing cars in the driveway every weekend, thought about every guy in that room, guys who show up before sunrise, guys who work with tools, not keyboards, guys who fix things instead of talking about them, guys who take pride in knowing what they're doing. And this woman wanted me to stand up and apologize for being like them, something in my chest just locked into place. I take a breath, look straight at her, slowly shake my head. Don't say a word, don't need to. Her face goes from red to darker red, like she's about to blow a fuse you too. She snaps voice, not professional anymore, just pure anger. She knows she's losing control, turns fast and points at another engineer, Chris. Sitting next to me, asks if he's going to hide behind everyone else. Chris just stares at her. No smile, no joke. Slow shake of the head. She points at the next guy. Same thing. Next. Same thing. One after another. No speeches. No arguing. Just quiet. No, felt like something broke in the room. We weren't separate anymore. It was like the whole table decided the same thing without saying it. And that's when she lost it. Completely throws her hands up, starts yelling, says, this is unbelievable, says the fragility in this room is pathetic, voice getting high and shaky. Starts pacing back and forth, says we're the problem. All of us says we're defensive, says we're scared to look at ourselves. She's not talking anymore, she's shouting, spit flying. Melissa jumps up from her chair, trying to calm her down, says, maybe we should take a break. Trainer spins on her yells. No, says she won't be silenced. Says this reaction proves her point. Says this is the toxic behavior she deals with every day. Says we're hostile. Says we're aggressive. We're all sitting completely still. Nobody even raising their voice. And she's the one screaming. Whole thing felt insane. She starts sneering at us. Says, we think we're tough because we work with machines. Says that doesn't make us men. Says it makes us emotionally stunted. Cavemen scared of women. The accounting ladies look horrified. One of them slowly pushes her chair back, like she wants to get away from the blast zone. This wasn't empowering. This was someone having a meltdown. Trainer points at Rick, handshaking, says he's the worst one, says he's the leader, says he's poisoning everyone, with his attitude, calls him outdated, says he's holding back progress. Rick just watches her, doesn't blink, doesn't react, and that makes her even more angry. She keeps going, calling us insecure, calling us misogynists, saying we're the reason everything is broken, just throwing every buzzword she knows. Finally, she runs out of steam, standing in the middle of the room, breathing hard, hair messed up, suit all wrinkled. Room dead silent, heavier than before. Melissa looks like she might faint. Finally, she says the workshop is over, voice barely working, says we can go back to work. Nobody waits, all the shop, guys stand up at the same. We didn't look at Melissa, didn't look at the trainer either. We just turned and walked out. Not like we were running away more, like we were done wasting time, like leaving a meeting that never should have happened. When I passed Rick, he reached out, hand on my shoulder, for a second small squeeze. No, words didn't need any, felt like he was saying. You held your ground, felt like he was saying. You're one of us, now meant more than any compliment I ever got from management. We walked back toward the plant without talking, sound of the ventilation, fans and backup generators. Got louder the closer we got. Honestly felt good, hearing that noise again. Real noise. Not that conference room, silence, not someone yelling about theory, real-world sound. We get back inside, machines start powering up again. One by one, the shop comes back to life. Motors whining, presses thumping, forklift alarms echoing. Everyone goes back to their stations like nothing happened. Nobody brings it up. No jokes, no complaining. Like the whole thing got filed away without discussion, but something felt different. Guys nodding at each other across the floor. Little looks that weren't there before. Welder gives the machinist a quick grin. Operator gives me a thumbs up. When I walk past, we all went through something stupid together, and nobody folded. No yelling, no. Arguing, just said no. And that was it. Next morning, rumors start floating down from the office. Side word is, the consultant's contract got canceled, the same day gone. Immediately, apparently, after we left. Couple of the women from accounting went straight to HR director. Not Melissa, her boss filed formal complaints, said the whole thing was out of line, said the trainer was hostile, said the meeting felt abusive and unprofessional, said they felt like props in some weird performance. That was enough to shut the whole thing down. Melissa got hit too, put on one of those performance plans, which everybody knows, means you mess up again. You're done. She was the one who hired the consultant. She let it get out of control. Corporate didn't like. That best part was none of the shop guys had to say anything. No reports, no emails, no meetings. She wrecked herself all on her own. Couple weeks later, everything back to normal. The workshop turns into one of those stories people tell. At lunch, like, remember that weird HR thing? Then it fades out one afternoon. I'm finishing a new set of drawings, gear assembly, job-tight tolerances, had to redo the toolpath 3 times before it worked. Finally got it. Right? Felt solid. Took the prints down to Rick to check. He's at his desk, going over the schedule board. I lay the drawings in front of him, tell him it's the new sequence for the 500 series job. He picks them up, looks through every page, finger, tracing the cuts, checking notes, checking material, specs, checking heat, treat steps. He takes his time, always does. Standing there waiting felt longer than the whole meeting did. His standards are higher than anyone's. Finally, he sets the papers down, looks up at me, taps the corner of the print. One says, "Good work." Jake pulls a pen out, signs the approval box, slides the drawings back, then goes right back to his schedule, like nothing happened. But that was enough. That one sentence meant more than all that. Corporate talk put together, earned simple, real. I walk back to my desk with the signed prints, look across the shop, welders flashing grinders, throwing sparks, machines pounding in rhythm, guys doing their jobs like always. Everything loud, everything clear, everything making sense, and nobody apologized for any of it, not once.